whatever you want to do, find like the best people in the world that are doing that and go learn from them. Like,
constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Folks, we don't know if he's calling in from a nightclub. He's got the neon mic and the blue lights behind him. We got the memo on the same shirts today too, apparently. So there's a lot of things going on today. My man Buddy in the house. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing great, man. It's exciting to be on your pod after connecting on X for the last few months.
So people will send me people like, hey, you should podcast this person. And on purpose, I won't do research because I want to yeah, you might know what they kind of do, but you don't really know. I want to explore. And so for some, I know where we're going to head. With you, I don't.
Cool.
I kind of know what you do now a little bit, but let's talk about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. What were you doing?
Sure. So 10 years ago, I was doing anti-human trafficking work, living in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and also running an orphanage in Cambodia. And 15 years ago, I was living in Japan doing youth ministry on an Air Force base. And 20 years ago. Yeah.
20. Go, give me 20.
All right. So 20, I guess I was still in Japan. But before that, my wife and I traveled across America in a VW bus. And before that, a 3-year stint in corporate America in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And we were a book distributor, and we literally called it the office and the warehouse for the book distributor.
They got the idea from you.
They did.
So life is really funny. I literally know the only thing I know about Japanese culture is from Anthony Bourdain, because I worked in the hospitality. But I'm not kidding you when I say this. 3 days ago, somebody mentioned a show called Tokyo Vice, and they said it was one of their favorite shows. I cannot stop watching it. It's an American in Tokyo doing under syndicate crime writing, and it's amazing. And I am so fascinated with the culture now of Tokyo and Japan, and there's so much honor and discipline in their culture. Yeah,
it was an amazing place to raise our kids. So fun to live there. Love the Japanese people. We would be out to eat when we just had one kid, and a waitress would take the baby, our oldest, and just be gone for 5 minutes, showing all the other people. And it was you felt totally and completely safe. And I've lived in other countries where you're heck no, I'm not letting a stranger touch my kid.
So 3 years in the corporate America.
Yeah.
And then a VW bug, then Japan.
Yeah.
What sparked that?
Well, it was actually a bus, Westphalia camper van. And that was so when I graduated high school, I was planning on traveling around Europe. And then instead I hitchhiked across America for graduation. My parents bought me a backpack and a one-way ticket from Frankfurt, Germany to Los Angeles. And so I always liked to travel. And then the company shut down our plant in Scranton, and they tried to get us to move to Louisville, and then they tried to get us to move to Boston, and we said, no, we're heading to Japan. And so I was like, we need to take our severance package and just go across America. When are we ever going to have the chance to do that? So that was what led to that.
And then what led to Japan?
Yeah, so my wife and I both grew up in Germany in the military community, and we wanted to go for 2 to 5 years to just, pour into military youth for a couple years. And then Japan, when we were there for 10 years, found out about human trafficking, and I was just like, okay, let's bump the business dreams 5 more years down the road, and we'll go see what we can do and make a difference in the anti-human trafficking world. And so that's what we did. I burned out on schedule after about 5 years of that work. We were doing specifically investigative work, working with the local Thai police, Cambodian police, and then after that I went back into business. And so I did business overseas, ran a couple escape rooms that were just completely amazing, like the best escape rooms in the world. Like we had hand elevators where you'd pull yourself up to different levels, and rooms that moved, and running water. And I built way too big and crashed and burned so hard. I lost $250,000 in a year. I would have been better off just to like sit in my backyard and burn $500 a day. But as part of the entrepreneurial journey.
I feel like, do you play any instruments?
Just the radio, man.
I feel like you should be a songwriter. There's a lot of complexity to this life, brother.
Yeah.
Like a leader of the band kind of stuff, like Cat Stevens,
Yeah.
So the business, you crash and burn in the business. What's the next step after the escape room crash and burn?
Well, we paid off we were $100,000 in debt, and somehow on like $100,000 salary, we paid off $100,000 that year. Like, didn't go out to eat, sold cars, cashed in some retirement. And at some point that year, I just remembered this recently because my wife was like, you need to get a job. And I was like, well, that sucks. Like if I would have known this, I would have been a little bit more careful if I knew a failure meant a job. And, but she was just like, I think you really should get a job. And so I actually wrote videos I made videos for like 10 people. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Rich Sheffrin, Jay Abraham, Taylor Welch, and Chris Evans, just people that I knew from the internet marketing world. An author named Henry Cloud that I'd connected with before. And I just made a video for all these people. And I was like, hey, I can help you with this. I can help you with your marketing. I can do this. And crazily enough, 5 people wrote me back and said, let's talk. And one person was like, hey, here's my conference. Come to the conference. You got a ticket on me. I'll comp you. Let's talk. And thankfully, in the next like week or two, my wife was like, we just were talking, and I was just like, it's really going to kill me to work for somebody else. Like, I haven't worked for anyone since 1999. And so I ended up running a school for entrepreneurs. It was a paid school, so it brought in a little income. I had my income from running the nonprofit Stop Slavery. And those two things together were like my income for that year. So we ran a school for entrepreneurs. They came over to Thailand wanting to start a business, and super fun. It was faith-based, got to travel a lot. We went to Malaysia and Burma and Laos and Australia and Phuket, and just, we had a blast, did business, learned things about the Christian faith. And so, yeah, that was, then after that, I did some like consulting training. COVID hit, moved back to America, and I'd been doing the business I'm doing now, which is helping people rank on Google Business, and did a few different things. I tried to buy a business. That was, it wasn't great, a little bit ugly with the broker and shenanigans that business owners have when they go to sell. And then in the end, I just kind of fell back into this. I'd kept clients for the last few years, just a few on the side. And then I was like, okay, there's some passion projects I want to do, but my income from Stop Slavery was ending a year ago, June 30th, 2023. And I was just like, I got to make money. So this, it's not my favorite thing in the world to do, but it makes money. And now that I'm doing it, it's kind of becoming my favorite thing to do. Like I'm enjoying it more and more every day. So,
And where are you currently located in the States?
Roanoke, Virginia, in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
And does your wife like being back in the States?
So we both miss a lot of things from the expat community and living overseas. But we wanted to come back while our kids were finishing up college. My youngest two will both finish next a year from now. So we're here at least until then. We're going to do some travel. We're heading to Thailand in September and Europe for like Christmas, Thanksgiving. But it's possible we could move. Right now, we both can work kind of from anywhere. I mean, it's a little bit hard for me. Thailand's going to be a little bit of a stretch because I can't really do too many client calls. But yeah, Europe's a little bit easier. The time schedule still works. So yeah.
I traveled. We went on a one-way trip with my ex-wife to Spain, Portugal, France. I was there for 8.5 weeks. Been to Costa Rica many times. Been around.
Yeah.
The goal is to go out to Europe again for a month or two.
Nice.
Probably next year, show my fiance for the first time.
Yeah.
I think the people that haven't traveled, I think they have a viewpoint, right? I can say the same about the States, right? People that haven't been to Texas have a viewpoint. People that have been to Canada have a viewpoint. What do you think is the number one misnomer for anybody that's listening that maybe want to work remotely or work over in Thailand, Japan, or Europe? Like, what do you think is the thing they get wrong the most when they're trying to think about it?
I think, I think it's hard to do. Like I tried to build this business that I have now when I was in Thailand, and it was really difficult. I was like, oh, tonight I'll stay up to midnight and make calls. Well, that worked when I was in my 20s. It didn't work in my 40s, So I think anything that you're trying to do client calls from Southeast Asia is difficult. And a lot of people actually move there even in their 20s. This guy, Bryce Welker, that I'm connected to, he built a big old business from Thailand. And then he's like, forget this. My quality of life sucks. I'm up till 1 or 2 in the morning every night. And he moved from Thailand, where he literally started with nothing, like built his business, could live on $500 a month. And he made enough when he left that he got a beach place in San Diego. And he's like, okay, I can afford this now. I think the community is great in most places overseas. I think if you want to, like, for instance, if you want to do SEO, I would absolutely move to Chiang Mai, Thailand. There's some of the stars of the SEO world that you can just walk into a cafe. They have a meetup every Thursday, work for a few hours. You can ask like the best in the world, how do I do this? How do I do that? And so I highly recommend it. Just quality of life, fun. Where did you go in Portugal and Spain?
So we left out of Miami. We went to Barcelona.
Okay.
Was where we started. We went. So I sold wine for 20 years. So
nice.
France was a big deal for me. Basically, like I said, Anthony Bourdain was my spirit animal. Like if he went there, I went there. So we were supposed to go to Mallorca, but there was a storm, so we couldn't go. So we had to change plans, and we wound up going to Cordoba, Spain. Okay. And it was our favorite place we went.
Nice.
Like we weren't even supposed to be there. So the capital of southern Spain, for anybody who doesn't know, Andalusia is a southern region of Spain, the oldest community. We went to Granada. We stayed in a 200-year-old home. I hung out all night with the host for his wife's birthday, and I didn't speak Spanish, but I understood enough. Yeah. And my ex-wife and so we just had a blast. And then we went from, Barcelona, Valencia to Cordoba to Sevilla, and then we took the bus from Sevilla to Lisbon.
Nice.
And then this is a true story, we had friends fly and meet us and spend Portugal with us. So we went Portugal to Lisbon up to a winery, and then down south to a smaller thing. Portugal was my favorite by miles. It was right after 2008, and they had started coming back, so they called it the New Berlin. So a lot of tech. I tell everybody Lisbon is New York without all the attitude.
Yeah.
And Lisbon was such a poor country for so long that they never could translate the movies into Portuguese, so everybody speaks English.
Oh, wow.
And
Did
so
not know
Lisbon is like basically a San Francisco. Cobblestone streets, wineries, old school. Lisbon's like mini New York. But my favorite place by miles was San Sebastian, Spain.
Okay.
So we went to San Sebastian, Spain, which is, for people that don't know, Basque is the oldest known culture in the world, but nobody knows where they got started.
Yeah.
So Whaling Village. This is a crazy stat. San Sebastian is 3.5 miles wide. That's it.
Okay.
On the coast. It has 3 of the top 13 restaurants in the world.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Basque is 100% cider houses and food. They have food clubs, like 300 of them in the city. And then you go out to the side place, and they have wineries along the coast called chocolate. So chocolate is a wine that's poured up way high, and it vibrates with oxygen, and it's very sweet and it's very cheap. It's one of the oldest wines made, but nobody knows about it. It's starting to get in the States. And then we went to Chablis. We went to Burgundy. I stayed across the street from the most expensive grapes in the world. And then we went to Paris, and then we flew home. So
nice.
Yeah.
I literally today, I got a text. Well, you can't see anything on there, but I got a text from a friend who's in Portugal, and it's my wife's best friend's husband. So we're good friends, but like they're best friends, you know? And so I was just like, okay, give me the scoop on Portugal. Are we moving there or what?
So here's the, okay, let me give you, guys, I'm sorry. You this is inspiring y'all to travel. So, so there's a lot of things about Portugal that people don't understand. Okay. 1, it's a 7-hour flight from Miami.
Yeah.
So there you go. You literally can fly. You could fly back and forth in the amount of time it takes you to drive across Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just to put it in things. It got hit hardest in 2008. But what happened through that is a lot of tech jobs. A lot of people found it. Lisbon, Portugal, is a city where you can surf and ski in the same day. You have Los Southern, which is like insane beaches. But the people are amazing. Amazing cheese, amazing wine, interesting diet. They kind of do more of a peasant food diet. But you have main 2 cities, Lisbon and Porto. And Porto is like literally out of an 1800 movie. Cobblestone streets, wineries, and wine houses everywhere. They run the wine up from the Douro Valley. And so the tugboats bring in the wine from up in the Douro valleys.
Nice.
And then you come. But on top of the you can tell I sold wine. On top of the the country is a rainforest. So when you come up to the top, it's more. But yeah, I mean, it's a wild experience because there's so much history. But what's wild to me the most, and this is where people can't fathom in America, is people in Portugal don't talk to people in Spain. And people in Spain don't talk to people in Spain. Yeah. And here's what's even more. You ready for this? Southern people in Spain don't talk to people in northern Spain.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but what I love about Europe is super simple. You can be on a plane, or a train, and you can change not only the culture, all the things that you eat. Like literally can change in like an hour. Like you're like, oh, we're, you know, friends. So my fiance family is from Norway. Yeah. So for me, Switzerland, Norway, Greek Isles, Italy, Prague, those are like on top of my list. So
yeah, I love all of those places. I've actually never been to Greece, and I've never been to Portugal, but I love Switzerland. The Lauterbrunnen Valley is like one of my favorite places in the whole world.
And if you buy a $350,000, now they changed it, and it might be different now. But if you bought $350,000 worth of real estate in Portugal, you get a EU. You get an EU passport.
Yeah.
So
I think it's still true currently as of this podcast. And actually, here's a little tidbit. My friend just told me that Elon Musk is buying a place in Portugal, like as we speak. They said he was there house shopping.
Go.
So
there you go. Well, the signs are everywhere.
Yeah.
So, so I think that I think you have a lot of what I have. And I think that you and I would imagine your wife too, have a deep capacity for helping others. Like it's probably if I'm being honest, if you put me up against the corner, it's probably the only thing I really care about.
Yeah.
Is on a plane with a young kid who just graduated high school and he's asking me about life. Yeah. And we spent 3 hours talking. Like, I would give my entire day to just tell people, hey, follow me around, right?
Yeah.
But you got to make money.
Yeah.
Right? How do you balance that as a business owner or somebody creating something in your life and knowing that you're doing great, but there's also like tangible aspects to like put the kids to school and all that stuff like that?
Yeah. So great question. And just today, like 2 hours ago, I was having a conversation with someone and just saying, I love helping business owners, but what gets me in trouble is I say, okay, I know you need help with your Google business stuff. We can rank you there, but you also need automations and you also need this. Literally on my to-do list is to order a vinyl sign for one of my clients till he gets a new LED sign in front of his business. And I'm looking at that task going,
it's not your job.
Why the heck did I say I would do this? And that client, I actually said to him, I would just spend some time at the beach with him this weekend. And I said to him, I was like, I went home and I was thinking, I should tell this guy, pay me $10,000 a month to spend 20 hours a week systematizing your life and like getting all your properties and your taxes and all this crap in order. And then I told him, I said, I can't do that. Like, I would love to do that, but like, I need to build my own, nut. Like, he already has his stuff. He's got so much stuff. He doesn't even know like what's coming and what's going, that's why he needs somebody to help him. But I absolutely love it. I mean, we did youth ministry. We did, we had an orphanage. We did anti-human trafficking, like all, and I love it. Like, I love helping business owners, but what I'm starting to do is balance that out and go, okay, I really, like this morning, I went down to my little stream behind my house. I take my notebook, I kind of plan on paper, and I was like, what I really want to do is I want to help young people get their own business, like have time to do whatever they feel like it is that God created them to do. And so like right now, in general, I charge about 10 grand a year for one location for a client. And we're getting our systems and processes down where I'm like, I could give 5 grand of that to a young person. So if they make one sale a month, they're making 5 grand a month. They make 2 sales, they're making 10 grand. And I think I can train someone to do that in a short period of time. And I was sitting down there and I was like, I would love to have 20 young Austins and Buddies that I'm like, okay, here's your thing. Like, you do this, you're going to make money and we're going to spend a month in Europe, and my school is called the BAM School. And that's what my podcast is as well. And, we, when it's about business, it's about mission. But it's also about adventure and just having fun and travel. So it's business, adventure, mission. And I was like, that is what really gets me jazzed. Like the thought of growing my business. I need to grow my business. I want to grow my business. But the thought of like giving a way bigger chunk of the price for every client and giving it to a person that if I have scale, I can afford to do that, if I'm bringing in more people. So I want to help young people get involved in business, have their own business, very low risk. It's like startup costs will be like $100 for them, like it'll just, if they can't sell, okay, go on and do the next thing. But if they can do a little bit of sales, so that kind of thing is what really gets me energized and jazzed.
And I think what scares me, right? And I'm talking about myself here, right?
Yeah.
I just had this conversation with somebody that I met for coffee this morning. I got 2 podcasts, 4 businesses. I got a fiance. I got 46 employees, and I feel like I'm not doing anything. And and there's other stuff, right, too. And I worry, and one of the reasons I don't think I understand the tangible aspects of crypto. I really do. I get it.
Yeah.
I've dabbled in it. I have friends that are heavy in it.
Yeah.
My concern with crypto is it's 24 hours.
Yeah.
When is the off switch?
Right.
And I'm not there yet, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
Like, I am scaling a business very aggressively.
Yeah.
And I told them that you got 3 years of me.
Yeah.
All in.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm going to go to Nepal and Croatia for 6 months to regroup.
Yeah.
My number one business partner gets out of the military at West Point. He's a captain in the military. I told him, since the day you went in the military, you have a job waiting for you. He's going to take my life. I'm going to give him a chunk of all my ownership. He's the exact opposite of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, you tell me what's making money. You tell me what's not. We're going to, he's like, the moment I meet you, I'm going to cut out 80% of the BS you're doing because it's wasting your time. I said, well, I'm just trying to figure it all out for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Because that's when we're going to talk about having kids too. But I'm going to tell you, and I think I'm about to get you the most charged up you've probably been in a while.
All right, let's go. I'm ready.
So I realized something, right? That if I focus for 3 years, which is very hard for me, if I focus for 3 to 4 years, and we build to where we're trending to, technically, I won't have to work again.
Yeah.
Technically. We'll have enough management, enough GMs. I got a great CEO. I'll be good. Not like insanely wealthy, but I'll be good. I'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I can do that. Okay. Great. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So all that's leading up to when I met my fiance. I got sober at 36. I'm 41 now. I said, look, you got to give me 11 years.
Yeah.
I said, I got to get 11 years out of my system. I need it.
Yeah.
Like insane build. Just like in the trenches. It's what I love to build. After we get to a certain number, I'm going to be like, I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
But all that is leading up to an entire flip of my life at 50 years old.
Right.
And that flip is going to be this. I want to get all my friends, guys like you, people that I meet over the years, funds that I work with, coaches that I consultants. And we're doing all this to create an entrepreneurship school. Okay.
Nice.
So private teaching by groups. And so if you want to learn marketing, you learn from somebody that has a marketing firm. If you want to learn real estate, you learn from somebody that has a real estate firm. Yeah. And we're going to take all the free PDFs and PowerPoints and videos, and they're going to be able to have access to it. But this is where it gets exciting. Then we're going to have an incubator of cash where we invest and consult these kids in their businesses, middle school, high school businesses.
Nice.
And that's really all I care about is getting to that. And here's the thing with that. That's going to take a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, and then we want a 1,000-acre ranch that we're going to host retreats for addiction and chronic pain. Cool. I have this, it's all visioned out. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was at SMB, whatever last year, SMB event.
Yeah.
And Mark Brooks and Josh Smith were there, and I was telling them, we're going to buy this many companies and we're going to do all this stuff. And, and he was like, okay, great. And Josh looked at me and he goes, yeah, but why? Why do you need to wait?
Yeah.
And I was like, it broke my brain. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get back to you when I have that answer.
Yeah.
It took me 6 months to find the answer. And I realized that the answer is that because I was an alcoholic for 20 years, I believed that I had to go through pain in order to deserve something special.
Wow. Okay. That's huge.
And he was like, wow, that's a lot for 6 a.m., but thank you. I'm going to have to reflect. And what I realized, though, in the midst of answering that question is I have to get out of me what I need to then give myself over to others.
Yeah.
If I do it now, I'm in the process of the build, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm finally sober, life's good, we got the right business partners. And if I give to them at 50 and I haven't given to myself what I need, then I'm not going to be the ultimate kind of person that I need for them, right? And so I look at guys like you and I say, man, this guy has this heart is so big, right? But I think what happens to you is the same thing happens to me, is that the heart gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And so I tell everybody that I meet, part of what makes me great is that I love so much.
Yeah.
And part of what makes me kill myself is because I love so much.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I've kind of created in my life lately is some boundaries.
Yeah.
Which in my world don't exist.
Yeah.
You know, you get the phone calls late at night. I need help. I need,
Yeah.
I try, right? But I realize that the first person to serve is yourself.
Yeah.
Then you serve the family.
Yeah.
And then you serve the business, right? And I look at like the scope of like life that you and your wife lead, and while I'm excited about what you're doing now, I'm way more intrigued about what you create later, because you're going to take all those experiences and it's just going to explode.
Yeah. So I want to do something similar instead of a ranch, I want to have a 56-foot yacht out of the Caribbean, probably like a catamaran. And I've rented yachts a few times, like catamarans. And it's so fun to just spend 5-6 days. You're not worried about where you're going to eat. I mean, you might go into a little town or village for lunch, but that's like the coolest just experience that I've had just with a group of guys. And then just last week, my college that I went to announced that they were closing down. Gorgeous campus in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it'll be in Pennsylvania. I don't know if I'll even have that kind of campus. I do know of a facility on the coast, on the Gulf Coast, that is only used 3 weeks every summer, that I'm like, a chip shot for me right now is to run a school out of that place for 3 months in the fall and the spring, where I have very little, like I can make it better for them, and then probably find a place that I can use for free for now. But I want to do that probably before my wife even wants me to do that. Like this morning I was like, maybe by September I could run another school. Like maybe I have an apartment above my garage I haven't rented. Maybe I have like 3 or 4 guys that come this fall and we start it. And the smart thing is probably to wait till like a year from now, but we'll see. So,
well, count me in whatever you need help wise, because I think, as much business plans as we create, I think everything comes down to education.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think you probably realized and I didn't realize, because maybe I came from a different world or whatever you want to call it, but I realized that a lot of people, especially in downtrodden areas, I'm not saying that there's not knuckleheads, but what I'm saying is they're not privy to options and even information to even understand that that's possible.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I tell everyone and no one listens, but everyone that I talk to, like when they're 18 to 20, 22, I'm like, if you want to have a business, just get on Twitter and follow the people that are actually doing it. Like you'll learn, you can ask questions, you get job opportunities. And I've been saying to people for years, whatever you want to do, find like the best people in the world that are doing that and go learn from them. Like when I accidentally tripled a guy's business when I first got into Google Business Profiles, and I didn't know it for another year. But as soon as I knew that had happened, I literally was like, who is the best person in the world at only Google Business Profiles? Found him, called him up, asked to pay him to teach me all his stuff. And now he like teaches his secret sauce, and he charges people like 10 grand a year to use software to do it. But he kind of opened the kimono to me and showed me, like I just, and when I met him, I always do the like give value. Like I think young people need to learn to give value before they're asking in return. So like I'm paying him to coach me, but my second meeting with him, I had another friend that I found on Google Maps lived like 10 minutes away, knew this guy loved whiskey. And I just said to my friend, hey, would you deliver a bottle of whiskey between 5 and 6 p.m. on this day to this dude? So we get on the Zoom call and we're on like 5 minutes. My friend texts me and says, hey, I'm at his door. And so I just say to the guy coaching me, I just say, hey, Craig, there's going to be a knock at your door. Answer it. And he goes out, answers the door, walks back in with a glass, talks to the guy for a couple minutes. And like, but like that kind of, there was something there just from connecting because I'm paying him. But all of a sudden our relationship like went to the next level. And a year ago, I met him again in DC. He probably introduced me like 7-8 times. And guess how he introduced me every time? It's like, let me tell you what this dude did. And so I think like learning from others, but not just being like, I think that's one of the things that's missing is like, how do you give value when you're 21, 22, 23 so that you're not just coming, hey, what, let me learn, but it's like, you have to give and take. But the people that are on X at 21, 22, 23, they're going to be killing it. They're already killing it. But in 5 years, like, look out world,
It's amazing how similar our stories are. So one story, flew across the country for a 15-minute meeting.
No way.
Swear to God, for coffee. The meeting then turned into 7 hours. And I started working for him a year later. All right.
Wow.
So big real estate developer. The second one was a guy who had 9 businesses. He was raking like $500,000 a month, no marketing. Guy's a complete savage. He blew me off 7 times to go visit him, to follow him around. I texted him on my birthday and I said, hey, I'll be there January 5th. Deal with it. And he said, fine, I'll see you at my gym at 5 a.m. Okay. So he's a wild card. This dude's pretty crazy dude. Very, very popular guy. And so I was studying his Instagram, and he's got a wife that he's always bothering with crazy things that he buys. He's obsessed with Cadillacs. So I rented a 1966 Cadillac on Suicide, 24-inch rims, to drive around to all the flip houses that we were going to see. I pulled up to pick him up. He started crying. He thought it was the coolest thing in the world. He's told that story awesome. 75 times.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had a conversation later that day that changed my entire life. 2 conversations. And he said, why did you do this? And I said, because 1 million people ask you to spend the day with you. I said, when I leave this place, you'll know that fucking Austin Linney was here. And he was like, hell yeah, motherfucker. But he told me something that changed my life, and I'll share it with everybody. And I hope you understand this, because I shared about this. I'm 41 now. I was, this was years ago, so I was a little younger. We got done. I spent all day with him. I told him about the 17 bajillion business ideas I had, because that's me. At that time, I had 1 million business ideas. And he said, Austin, we're driving from the last property. He said, Austin, I'm going to tell you something. He said, I've sit since 5 a.m. I've heard about every business idea that you're going to do, and I'm very excited for you, and I love hanging out with you, and you're super talented. He said, but you know what would make me the happiest person in the entire world? He said, if I didn't hear from you for 6 months and you didn't tell me about what you were going to do, and you just showed me what the fuck you were going to do.
Yeah.
He goes, when you get to my level, he goes, we're tired of people telling us what they're going to do. We just want somebody to go out and do it.
Yeah.
And that, along with a conversation about my ex-wife and just what I wanted for my life, like, I spent some money that day, but like those are those life-changing conversations that like really cement, the change in you, the shift in you.
Yeah, 100%.
So I got a trick.
That's awesome.
I shouldn't give this trick out, because I'm giving my greatest move, because similar to your whiskey idea. So you travel a bunch like you and I do. We stay with friends. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We meet people online. Yeah. I was just in Canada. I stayed in somebody's house for 3 days with his wife, 2 babies, and a dog, and his wife. And we only met on Twitter. And his wife like sits down when we get there, and she's like, "You're not gonna kill us, are you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good." Like, she's like, "Okay," just how we do it. We never met in person. But one of the things I do is when I'm on the visit, I listen to everything.
Yeah.
I'll order Amazon. And have it show up the same day I leave as a gift.
Nice.
So like 1 year I stayed at my friend's and his wife's house, and she was Polish, and she wanted to make ice cream.
It just broke up for a second.
So I bought them an ice cream maker. Yeah. So I stayed at my friend's house, and his wife was Polish, and she dreamed of making ice cream. So I bought them an ice cream maker, and it showed up, and like, he hasn't stopped talking about that. That was 5 years ago, and it's like those little things like really cement relationships.
Yeah. We just had a mentor of mine come through, and like I used to have to go to Germany about once a year for a meeting, and I would fly in 2 or 3 days early and drive 3 hours out of my way to spend a day or two with him, you know?
Yeah.
And he came through. He was actually going to pull his RV onto our property about 2 months ago. And he writes me and says, "Hey, you know, my wife's having health issues. We're heading back." And I was like, "Well, we'll come to you. Like, we'll drive." You know, they were an hour away. I'm like, "We'll drive to you. We'll have breakfast." And one of the things he did was that we snapped a photo before we left. But then, like 2 weeks later, I got a card in the mail with that printed photo and a note, you know, just great to see you guys, love you, you know. And I was just like, that took him an extra 2 minutes. But like, I haven't got a photo in the mail in forever. So it's sitting, I have like one drawer that's my desk, but it'll probably sit in there for years because I'm like, no one sends photos anymore, you know. It's like it's the new thing. So if he had done the photo and an Amazon, it'd been like, you know, tag team. But yeah, that's great.
One of the things I do is I ask myself, I say, what are other people not willing to do? Like, I've lived my life off of, if you're going right, I'm going to go left.
Yeah.
So what I call, this is so crazy that we're even saying this out loud, but what I call hand-to-hand marketing is what the other people won't do. Okay?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, and I'm using it from a marketing point of view, we're stepping into a marketing conversation, donating tools to the local vote tech. And my lead tech set up led the proctor for the exam for the final. Going to get somebody coffee, you know, with some chamber people and saying how I can support your business. Like, these are the things that we have forgotten in a digital age that really, in my opinion, move the needle greater. Donating to the local Little League. Like, these are the things that we've forgotten because it's so easy to click a button and go, oh, you know, marketing, ads. But like a lot of people could tell you, if you look, digital marketing is part of your business. If you're not doing it, you're doing it wrong. I'm just letting you know that.
Yeah.
But it can't be all your business.
Right. 100%. Yeah. And one of the things, this is something I don't really tell people either, but I want to do it more and more, is when I meet with people, I open a file on Google and I just call it their name and I start writing stuff down. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend from college, and I just, you know, I haven't even written in it for years, but sometimes he'll say something like, "How do you remember that from 10 years ago?" And as well as because 10 years ago when we got off the phone, I wrote down and said, you know, this is what's going on in this dude's life. And like, it just, you know, and so recently I've been like, I need to do that more. So like, I'll pull up my phone, you know, and even like I was with another friend couple weeks ago at the beach, and I just said to his daughter, they all had these K names that are spelled and sound funky, and I just said to the oldest daughter, could you write all your sisters' names under your dad's thing so like I could actually spell your names right and call them right? But that's just a little thing. And the other thing is like writing down names. So if I meet somebody in a cafe, I'll write that cafe and the name, and sometimes a year later I walk back into that same cafe and I see the person. I have no memory, like in my mind, I can't recall their name, but I know if I go into my app and I look name, cafe, and that, so many times people will be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you remember my name from a year ago." Mm-hmm. And one time I was on this big development in Thailand and I knew the guy's Thai name from a year ago. And he was so blown away. He goes, he had already developed one resort, and this was like 100 acres on a stream, beautiful property. And he goes, whenever you want, you come use this place. Like, it's open to you. And my daughter's first date with her husband was on that property because they were like, "Hey, didn't that guy say you could use it whenever you want?" And it came from 10 seconds after the conversation, I write down the dude's name in an app. And literally, like, we thought of that as our property. When we wanted to go watch stars at night, it's like the gate's up, doesn't matter. Like, it's my property too, you know, just because I remembered a name. So I'm 100% on board with you.
You're so similar to me. One of the things my fiance had to get used to dating me is we would just travel around the country and we'd stay at people's like insane properties, like in their house with them, like Montana on the lake and everywhere. And she's like, this is so interesting. Like you just meet these people, you never met them in person, and Austin just shows up and you know, like there is something really magical to kind of that moment, and like you're just meeting like my friends in Canada. I'd never been to Canada. We went to Toronto. Hey, I'll come visit you. I went to an entrepreneurship meetup. He's Palestinian. She's Egyptian, pardon me. And like it was just so cool to like meet their family and hear about their life and where they lived, and like I still think about that. It was such cool. Like people are missing that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm getting to a point. I think I'm zoomed out. Like I think I don't even everything used to be on Zoom. Now I'm taking phone calls because I'm kind of over it. Like I think we're zoomed out. I think we need to get back to visiting friends, I believe this is I think on purpose or not on purpose. I can't decide. But you know, life is crazy. But I realized that I was starting to do bigger business deals. And so the RV, when I was in it, allowed me to shake hands, eat dinner with in person, and it changed that relationship significantly. So my suggestion is if you have a big deal or a client or whatever, like you have a client that's trusted you with a lot of money like just fly there. Go meet them. Like or like a business deal that you want to do, or somebody like some upper C-suite that you're managing or you're hiring, or like go meet them in person.
Like
that's
it'll
great
make
advice.
a big deal. My wife, you know, my business has had an uptick in the last few months, a lot to a large part due to just being on X and Twitter. But the other thing is I just decided to play bigger and bolder in 2024. And so that's made a difference. But my wife has started spending my business money already. You know, she's like, okay, we need to do this to the house and do that and do these different things. And I'm like, no. I mean, I said we could do some of that, but I want you to put all of those, like, I'm not giving myself a raise till January 1st. But what's coming first is the RV, to be able to travel around, meet people, connect with others, maybe have a couple of students in my school where we're traveling around a little bit or whatever. But I'm like, you just got to pause on that, because right now, you know, I need this RV because I want to connect with people. So I'm loving that.
The whole time I've been wanting to look. So you're 6.5 hours from me. I'm very familiar with the area.
Where are you?
Western Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh.
Where are you in north of Pittsburgh?
So Franklin, Pennsylvania.
Okay, my parents live in Punxsutawney.
Okay, so I am 50 minutes from the Ohio border to Youngstown.
Okay, yeah.
So she's been telling me that I have to take her to the mountains, so maybe we could go Roanoke to North Carolina.
Do it, man.
The RV. So we've only taken it on one trip. Because we have a house here for the business, so I haven't even got a chance. But we have a new RV. We went from a 20 to a 44. It's a monster. So I'm 70 feet from the front of the truck to the back of the RV. So it's a monster. 2 patios, a king bed, and so it's like you're not even in an RV. But we had a 20-footer. And we did 33 states in 10 months.
There's a little bit of pause sometimes. You probably have to cut this little clip out.
I was just saying we did 20 we had a 20-footer. We did 33 states in 11 months.
Nice.
10 months, 11 months. So it was fun. It was crazy, you know, and you can't beat it, man. You really can't. And I think
what was your 20-footer? Okay.
What'd you say?
I said, what was your 20-footer?
So it was just a regular pull behind that you could pull with like an SUV.
Yeah.
The bed kind of folded down. Trust me, I spent many months researching. I could tell you exactly what to get, what to go. The good news is that two things. One, the RV financing is amazing. And then two, the prices have dropped significantly than where they were two years ago. You can find you a really good used one for a really good price right about now.
Yeah. So. I think what I'm going to do, I think I'll probably either start with a Sprinter or like the smallest Class A's.
I would do the smallest Class A. The Sprinter is actually going to be 5 times the price of a small Class A.
Yeah. Well, right now you can get Sprinters for $90,000. They're just they've overbuilt them.
And it's just you and your wife?
Yeah. Probably for now. The small Class A would be if I do my school and bring a couple students with me, because I could, throw them up on the top.
Hey, listen, I already know something right now. When I have dinner with you, God bless your wife.
My wife, when we're talking relationships, my wife is 100% there. I was just with this entrepreneur at his beach place this weekend, and we're talking relationships, family. She's there for like an hour. We start talking about his deal and how he should do this. She just like gone. She literally like gets up, takes her coffee, walks back into the house.
Dude, this is a true story. So my fiance loves business, but different aspect, did real estate, whatever. Right now she's healing from some health stuff, very spiritual. And like, she's like, oh, what are y'all going to come over to dinner and talk about your stupid business stuff? She's like, but then she'll drop like haymakers on me like she did this morning and just like hold my soul outside. And she's like, yeah, that's on you. And I'm like, oh, thanks. You just have me self-examine my entire life. Thank you. So I think that balance is really good. So if people want to find you, they want to track you down, how would they do that?
Yeah. So I'm on X as Buddy7 at Buddy7. And then my business is mapwinners.com. And yeah, I'd love to help anyone that needs to beat out the competition on Google to win the Google game. So those are probably the two places. And if someone wants to talk, 540-467-4751, text me first and I'll actually pick up.
Well, I love it, guys. I hope you got some value from this. We covered it all. So I hope you got some value from this. Send it around, rate us and review us, and we'll see you next time. Guys, let me take a minute to tell you about my buddies over at Lead Hub, Ben and Aaron, the best humans I know. Not only are they amazing at marketing for trade companies, but Ben started his HVAC company in his garage, sold it for multi-million dollars. So when this guy talks, I listen. When we took over Dietz Mechanical, we had 22 reviews in 22 years. In 7 short months, we went from 22 reviews to 107. We went from a 4.2 to a 4.7. We tripled our Facebook presence and we tripled our calls. If you're an HVAC, plumbing, electric, landscaping company, and you're looking for a no BS approach to marketing, you're looking for people who have done it before, you got to go to leadhub.net